Genesis chapter 25 verse 1. Then again Abraham took a wife, and her name was Keturah. Genesis chapter 25 verse 2. And she bare him Zimran, and Jokshan, and Madon, and Midian, and Ishbak, and Shua. Genesis chapter 25 verse 3. And Jokshan begat Sheba, and Dedan. And the sons of Dedan were Asherim, and Letishim, and Lumim. Genesis chapter 25 verse 4. And the sons of Midian, Ephah, and Epher, and Hanoch, and Abidah, and Eldah. All these were the children of Keturah. Genesis chapter 25 verse 5. And Abraham gave all that he had unto Isaac. Genesis chapter 25 verse 6. But unto the sons of the concubines, which Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts, and sent them away from Isaac his son, while he yet lived, eastward, unto the east country. Genesis chapter 25 verse 7. And these are the days of the years of Abraham's life which he lived, 160 years. Genesis chapter 25 verse 8. Then Abraham gave up the ghost, and died in a good old age, an old man, and full of years, and was gathered to his people. Genesis chapter 25 verse 9. And his sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah, in the field of Ephron the son of Zohar the Hittite, which is before Mamre. Genesis chapter 25 verse 10. The field which Abraham purchased of the sons of Heth, there was Abraham buried, and Sarah his wife. Genesis chapter 25 verse 11. And it came to pass after the death of Abraham, that God blessed his son Isaac, and Isaac dwelt by the well Lahairoi. Genesis chapter 25 verse 12. Now these are the generations of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah's handmaid, bare unto Abraham. Genesis chapter 25 verse 13. And these are the names of the sons of Ishmael, by their names, according to their generations. The firstborn of Ishmael, Nebajoth, and Kedar, and Adbeel, and Mibsam. Genesis chapter 25 verse 14. And Mishma, and Duma, and Massa. Genesis chapter 25 verse 15. Hadar, and Tema, Jetor, Nephish, and Kedema. Genesis chapter 25 verse 16. These are the sons of Ishmael, and these are their names, by their towns, and by their castles, 12 princes according to their nations. Genesis chapter 25 verse 17. And these are the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years, and he gave up the ghost and died, and was gathered unto his people. Genesis chapter 25 verse 18. And they dwelt from Havilah unto Shur, that is before Egypt, as thou goest toward Assyria, and he died in the presence of all his brethren. Genesis chapter 25 verse 19. And these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begat Isaac. Genesis chapter 25 verse 20. And Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel the Syrian of Padanaram, the sister to Laban the Syrian. Genesis chapter 25 verse 21. And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife, because she was barren, and the Lord was entreated of him. And Rebekah his wife conceived. Genesis chapter 25 verse 22. And the children struggled together within her, and she said, If it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. Genesis chapter 25 verse 23. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. Genesis chapter 25 verse 24. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. Genesis chapter 25 verse 25. And the first came out red, all over like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. Genesis chapter 25 verse 26. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob, and Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. Genesis chapter 25 verse 27. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in tents. Genesis chapter 25 verse 28. And Isaac loved Esau, because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Genesis chapter 25 verse 29. And Jacob sawed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. Genesis chapter 25 verse 30. And Esau said to Jacob, Feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. Genesis chapter 25 verse 31. And Jacob said, Sell me this day thy birthright. Genesis chapter 25 verse 32. And Esau said, Behold, I am at the point to die, and what profit shall this birthright do to me? Genesis chapter 25 verse 33. And Jacob said, Swear to me this day. And he sware unto him, and he sold his birthright unto Jacob. Genesis chapter 25 verse 34. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentiles, and he did eat and drink, and rose up, and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright.